Okay, exploring a few things with our calculator. Just inputting exponents in the calculator is pretty simple, but you have to know what button to press. So if we have 7 to the third, 7 is your base, so press in 7. Okay, your exponent key is this arrow key above x squared. You don't have to press second, just press the caret key here. So then you see that it raises a little box for an exponent. And if we want it to be to the third power, we just type in a 3. So that gives us 7 to the third. Go ahead and press enter. And so we get 343. So 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. Okay, let's do this next one. 5 to the negative second power. We know we're going to get a fraction because we have this negative exponent, so we rewrite it as 1 over 5 squared. Okay, but let's type this into the calculator. So clear your calculator. 5 is our base. Your exponent key is here. So 5 to the, and the negative, make sure you use your negative symbol down at the bottom of the calculator. You can't use the minus sign because it'll give you a syntax error. So negative 2. Go ahead and press enter. And you see you get 1 over 25. Okay, what is 5 to the second power? That's 5 times 5, which is why we got 25 as the denominator. They went ahead and evaluated it. All right, the last thing that I want to go over on the calculator is typing a power of a quotient in other words, a fraction raised to an exponent. Okay, you do have parentheses symbols on your calculator. They're right above the 8 and the 9. So if you open that parentheses and then start your fraction button is this n over d. Okay, so you see it gives you a numerator and denominator. The numerator is 2, denominator is 3. Okay, now, one mistake that I see a lot of people do, you see how this is still, the cursor is still in the denominator. If you press your parentheses, it's going to stay there. And that's not what this looks like on the Post-it note, is it? Okay, so if you do that and you need to delete it, you have a delete button. It will back you up. Okay, to come out of that, just press your right over key, then put your parentheses, and then to put the exponent on the outside, we still just use that same old exponent key, caret, and then put in negative 2. We can tell it to evaluate by pressing enter. Okay, now it did give us a fraction. How do we change a fraction to a decimal? Yeah, pressing these double arrow keys down at the bottom. And I would need to be able to change a fraction to a decimal in case I need to compare numbers. So by looking at 9/4, it's going to take me a little longer to think, is this greater than the number 3? Okay, it can be deceiving. Some of us can think, well, it's improper, so it must be a bigger number. But looking at the decimal value, it's 2.25, which is less than the number 3. So that's why we would want to make sure that we remember how to do that. Okay. Now let's talk about the bottom examples on our notes. These look a little intense, but what you want to do is make sure that you have the same bases and make sure that the rules match the rules that you're trying to use. Make sure that they are these. Okay, now, do any of the rules talk about if you're adding exponents? I'm sorry, adding powers. None of these examples show that, do they? This one's multiplication, this one's a power to a power, this one's rewriting a negative, this one's dividing, this one's any exponent to 0, and this one is a fraction raised to an exponent. Okay, so you can't do anything to simplify these together, the numerator. Looking at the denominator, there's nothing that's happening down there except for y squared is still there. Okay, so with this bottom half, I do have something in the top and something in the bottom with the same base. Okay. a quotient, we subtract exponents, so that's an option. Okay, just know that the denominator goes for both terms in that numerator. Okay, so if we were to rewrite this and separate the terms here on top, we would have to use y second underneath the 6 and underneath y to the negative third. To make this match one of our assignment problems, let's go ahead and just change this plus sign to multiplication. Okay. We do have the same base here. Okay. So we could go ahead, now that we've changed it to multiplication, now we can add our exponents, right? Okay. So 6 and negative 3 are going to equal what? 3 over y to the second. Okay, and so now I have a quotient of powers, and it says, so when I'm dividing, what do I do with the exponents? I subtract, and so 3 minus 2 is 1, so I have y to the first power. And what is y to the first power? Y. Okay. The bottom example, everything is being multiplied. Notice that everything also has the same base, a base of 3. Okay, so let's look at this numerator first, just the top. Okay, whenever you have some power raised to a power, okay, you want to simplify that. So 2 times 0 is 0, and 3 to the 0 power is going to be what? Right. So I'm just going to rewrite this so that we're showing that we did, what do we do here? We multiplied. I'm going to rewrite this, just copying it down because we didn't do anything. And we just said 3 to the 0 is equal to 1. And 3 to the 4th times 1 is just 3 to the 4th. So I'm just showing step by step how I used my rules. All right, now, there's nothing else that I can do with the numerator. It's simplified as far as I can get it. Okay, but the denominator, I have a power of a power. And when we have a power of a power, we do the same thing we did here with the numerator. We multiply those exponents. So what is negative 2 times 3? That's going to be 3 to the negative 6, because negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. All right. From here, we have options. There's actually 2 different things that you could do, and both of them would be the correct answer. Okay. Notice that you have a quotient of power, so you could subtract the exponents, and 4 minus a negative 6 is actually positive 10, so you would have 3 to the 10th. Or you could rewrite this negative exponent by putting it in the top and forcing it to be positive. Let's say we do that. Let's say we rewrite it and make it positive because I don't like it being a negative. So that's 3 to the 4th, 3 to the 6th, and because I moved everything from the denominator, it becomes 1. If I do that, then that means that this is being multiplied. And when we multiply, what do we do with the exponents? We add them. And so that's going to be 3 to the 10th. That's the same thing I said we would get if we took and subtracted 4 minus negative 6. We still got 3 to the 10th, no matter what. And 3 to the 10th over 1 is 3 to the 10th. Now, do me a favor and go ahead and grab your calculator and find out, evaluate 3 to the 10th. And what value did you get? You should have gotten 59,049.